voila. Okay. Okay, so not everybody likes to use power equipment when they're doing their finishing of the finish. Some folks do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The one thing to be aware of is you got to be careful. I mean, this isn't like Tim the Toolman Taylor time, you know. It's, more power is not necessarily going to help you here. So what I do suggest that if you are going to use papers to finish, make sure that they're pristine and clean. I try to keep all my finished stuff in this little bag here and keep it zipped. I've got a small shop. I've got dust all the time. The last thing I want is dust on my finishing papers. Now on my rough out papers, that's a different story. Dust is half of what you're looking for. But what I like to do is also make sure that when I put the ones that have the same hole line up, make sure you get everything lined up. And on this particular case, we've got 1,500. One rule of thumb that or at least thing that I found, come to a conclusion of, however you want to put it, is that when it comes to finishing papers by hand and finishing papers by machine, what I think I'm doing by hand may require 1,000. That would be about a 12 or 1,500 on a machine. And basically because it's just working way faster than my arm, my wrist, my hand can. So that's one thing to think about. So a lot of times I'll go with the finer grit on the machine than I would start out with on the paper. By hand. So let's go ahead and look at this. So with the random orbital, here's the thing: this thing is exactly what it means. It's going to not only rotate this way, but it's also going to wobble and wiggle. Okay, so what you want to do is let it do its job. Now I'm just going to set it down there. I'm going to try to talk, but this thing's loud. So anyway, you'll see what we're doing here. I give it the Zamboni approach. I just let it just ride along, and then I'm going to kind of guide it. You don't want to move it too fast, because that will leave marks. Just let it ride along like a big Zamboni, or a little Zamboni. And I'm not putting any pressure on it. Then I'm just guiding it. It's got enough pressure on its own, and if I put any pressure on it, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to mash in any little grit that might be stuck on it and you get those little pigtail curlicue things. Or I'm going to overheat a spot and end up with burnt fabric, actually polyester or polyurethane, whatever's on top. And we don't want that. Okay, so sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually do a little bit of both, a little bit of a hybrid, just like you've seen here. Sometimes I'll do all machine, sometimes I'll do all hand, or like this, a little bit of a hybrid, or maybe I'll work a little bit by hand to get some of the meaner spots out, get them nice and level, and then I'll work the machine just to level all the level spots, if that makes any sense. And again, I just take it and rinse it off, or just wipe it on your towel. You don't need to do total dip and drip type wet sanding. This thing is getting very close. What I'm going to do is just get it there a little bit more without having to bore you guys with an 85-minute long video, because that bores me. So anyway, I'll get it really close, and what we'll do is we'll come back to all the final flattened stuff, and then I'll show you what we do there with all the different chemicals and processes that we can get a nice shine and polish on here. All right, so as you can see, we got this thing nice and flattened down. Now this is to about a 3,000 grit on sandpaper. Now we're going to do something a little different. Now we're going to go to pads. And for that, what I like to do is you get these things at the little auto parts store. In my particular case, again, I like to cut them down because I'm frugal that way. I like split things in half. They last longer. And you could do one of these numbers. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so even though I am here very shortly going to get into a rubbing compound that does take out marks from 1200 grit or higher, what I actually like to do still is hand rub it, even with the machine, get it with sandpaper to about a 3,000, and then go with a 3,000 pad, and now we're going to go with the 5,000 pad. And again, make sure that you keep these things pristine at all times, because the last thing you want is a speck of sawdust on them. And I can see a shine already. Okay, this is awesome. I'm not sure how much of that's going to show up on camera yet, but already you can see like a really nice sheen, real nice shine almost. And this is without any chemical product or anything like that yet. It's already, I mean, the reflection, you can see a reflection in there. So it's really cool, really nice, just smooth, beautiful. And again, I'm showing you this one side because otherwise this would be like a 4-hour long video. But the same thing as you're going to do on the back, and then on the sides it's going to be all paper. I mean, you just can't get a machine on the sides nearly as well, especially in these parts, and this is why a lot of us end up with carpal tunnel injuries. But anyway, so you're looking at that's what we're going to do here. Now this right now it just looks like slop because, you know, from what I've spilled over. And now that we've done the 5,000, now we're going to go to the chemical. And for the chemical, my favorite stuff that I like to use is the ultra-cut compound. That's the stuff that's going to take out pretty much any gnarliness that you've got in there. Although, as you can see, I try to be careful and to get as much out to begin with. But this thing, I'm just going to work it. And as you notice, I got an apron on for a reason. You can see this stuff starting to splatter. Be aware of that. Don't do this on the kitchen table. Right now, that's all you're doing. Driving that thing around. Let it do all the work. Okay, now here's the other thing. When you're working with the machinery, you're going to think, okay, well that thing's powered. You know, it's plugged into 112 volts. That thing should just be done in about 15 seconds. No, take your time with it too. You'll definitely appreciate it a lot more. It's still going to be a lot better than doing it by hand and a lot faster, but appreciate the fact that it's still got to do its job thoroughly, and the only way it's going to do that is if you let it. And don't rush it, don't push it through, don't pull it, don't grind on it. This is not about trying to make this guitar smaller, it's about making the guitar shinier. Okay, now I've got to that. A lot of people right away, you'll see, you can probably see it now, just a little milkiness from leftover product. A lot of people right away want to start rubbing on that. Do not. This thing generates a little bit of heat as it's going, and if you were to do that while the poly is nice and warm, you're actually going to dull it out and you're going to have to start all over. So don't do that. Let it sit for a little bit. And when I go to wipe it, even though I do believe my paper towels are softer than Ben uses over there in the UK, I don't believe of wiping it right away with a paper towel either. What I like to do is use this little polishing thing, and you can get these at most boat or car detail shops. This is a really soft abrasive polishing cloth, sponge type thing. And then I put a little bit more of a fine cut compound, and this one happens to have a little bit of polish in it. Now I'll do that straight over all this milky glaze, and I'll just wipe that milky glaze right off with this. And this, I'm again, even though I'm doing it by hand, trying to go as soft as possible, just barely wiping it. And it's just, you know, just think of it as you're trying to polish up a sheet of glass, because that's really what you're doing at this point. You just want that thing to look really nice and pretty. Now this is going to leave a little residue product on it, which you can wipe off with your paper towels that are softer than Ben uses over there at Crimson Guitars. But anyway, I'm just going to do this and so let that sit for about, I don't know, how long has this been now? 6 seconds? Okay, so that's long enough. Now I'm just going to wipe it real softly with that. Look at that baby. All right, does that look good or what? Now, it's not uncommon, at least for me anyway, unfortunately, I'll get to a time where I'm done with this and I think, oh, that's really good, and then I'll see like a little booger. Just come work that booger. Don't worry about redoing the whole thing. Work that little booger, get it off of there, and then you're good to go. I don't see any boogers. I just see beautiful paisleys. Now this thing's got like this shimmer finish to it. I don't know if you can see it in this lighting, but what it's got is it's got a blue haze. So if you look at it one way, like straight on like this with no light on it, you're going to see all the paisley details. But if it gets turned just the right way, it's just going to be like a or a blue on you. I just love it. Anyway, it's a cool looking finish. Keep following me here. This guitar is going to be ready in a couple days, or at least from when we started this little video. So it's only got about a day or so away. Like I said, I've got electronics to do. The neck is all done. I still got a little work on the cutouts here. As you see, I've got some sponge in there, foam. I want that because this is a semi-hollow without a sound hole. We don't want feedback, so we got foam in there to kind of cut that back. And then, so I got to do the wiring, get the hardware on here, put the neck on, strings, tune it up, adjust the truss rod, you know. So there's going to be more videos that you're going to be able to see on what we're going to do to get to the finished part of this guitar to get it all finished. Does that make sense? Anyway, hey folks, thanks again for tuning into another great video of Dude Craft Guitars behind the scenes. Stick around if you know, and watch some more. If you like it, go ahead and hit that little subscribe thing. That way you'll know when we've got a new video for you. And please feel free to follow along, hit the like button, make a comment, even if it's one you don't think I'll like. And believe it or not, I do learn a lot from people like you, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.